Hello, everyone. This is Erik Roth here in as Astronic Astrologer, talking about this upcoming next astrological period of the month of February. And so we're going to be diving into this month in a big way. So there's a lot of activity happening, but it's essentially going to help us transition into the next month of March and what's coming up beyond that. Not just in a regular way, as all months do, help us transition, but there is something special about this time in February that helps us prepare for what could be really a very, very significant March and April period. All right, so this is episode 62 of Science, Plants, and Stellar Rhythms, looking at the 2025 forecast for the month of February. So we're going to be really getting into this and looking at the major things that are coming in, not all the little alignments that happen just about every month, particularly with the moon. Although I do include the new moon and the full moon in this. Okay, so let's look at the major highlights here. Um, we got two planets stationing direct, Mars and Jupiter. We have a north node Neptune conjunction. We also have a Sun Mercury conjunction as well. Um, we have Venus in Aries, Mercury in Pisces, and new and full moons, all taking place in this month of February. All right, so let's take an overview of this. So, just to give a rundown, it starts out the month with the annual Celtic holiday Imbolc, which takes place typically between February 1st and 2nd. It celebrates the quote cross quarters, which are astrological points between the solstices and equinoxes. The mathematical point of Imbolc is February 3rd, when the sun reaches 15 degrees Aquarius. Jupiter then stations direct on the 4th. We also have Venus moving into the sign of Aries right around that time on the 3rd, 4th, depending on where you are on the globe. And then shortly thereafter, Neptune and North Node conjunct on February 6th. The Sun then conjuncts Mercury on the 9th, connecting into Aquarius, helping us connect to a greater vibrations of cosmic consciousness. The setup of the two most inner planets, Venus and Mercury, are going to be playing a really critical role in the month of March and April. And so the setup in February is going to be really, really big. This is in large part because of the Venus retrograde period, which is the first time that Venus will have gone retrograde since the summer of 2023. And then Mercury, this will be its first retrograde period of 2025, where it moves into Pisces this month and into Aries in March. And then lastly, we have the Mars stationing direct on the 23rd, creating a 5-day plus period where all the planets are direct for that long, February 23rd through the 28th. Please excuse me, my voice might sound a little bit scratchy because I'm still recovering from a some kind of respiratory infection that the doctors could determine what it was. But it's hitting my throat really, really hard. So I'll do my best in this recording here. All right. So let's begin. Let's get into what this month is having in store for us. So Imbolc typically uh, February 1st and 2nd is when the traditional celebration and connection with that holiday takes place. Astronomically, astrologically, it's February 3rd or 4th. That can sometimes vary from year to year due to the calendrical differences between the Gregorian calendar and the orbit of the Earth around the sun. So Imbolc is an ancient Celtic holiday, celebrates with some origins that sometimes research that places it back thousands of years. but it celebrates the coming of the light. So it sits there between the December solstice and the March equinox. So it's really when a lot of us begin to really notice and feel that the light is increasing, that there's more daylight here in the northern hemisphere than there was back at the December solstice. So it's also a celebration of the ancient goddess Bridget, or Saint Bridget's Day in Christianity, which essentially Christianity borrowed and or used pagan traditions and holidays and gods and goddesses for saints and angels and other things that they brought forth here. So this is also the day when the middle part of the Aquarius season. So 15 degrees Aquarius is when the astrological moment of in between the two seasons, so December solstice and March equinox. Now there's in between on H1 every mid season between, and in all four seasons has its midpoint in that season. So it's the middle of winter and the middle between solstice and equinox. Or if we were to do comparison, equinox and solstice, so things like Beltane, Samhain, Lugnasa, that's a Celtic name, and so though particularly however it's pronounced, I think it's called Lugnasa, but it's also in the modern times connected into Groundhog Day, where where if they see a shadow, or if the groundhog doesn't see a shadow, whether there's 6 more weeks of winter or winter's ending. And so, but in the ancient traditions, Celtic people, they would get a feel for the season at that point. And it was a sort of a prognostication about what would be coming, and they would prepare for it. So there's a tie-in between that and this modern holiday of Groundhog Day. And then on February 3rd, just before midnight Pacific time, Venus enters the sign of Aries. So for most people on the planet, it's going to be February 4th. But where I live here in Oregon, it's just 4 minutes before midnight on February 3rd. So Venus in Aries brings in a new frequency of fiery energy. This is the part of a longer reaching time that'll stretch into May, part of particularly the March and April period. Venus's first trip through Aries this year will be until March 27th. So it's going to spend a long number of days in the sign of Aries, and then before it retrogrades into Pisces, and then in mid-April, April 12th, it'll move back, it'll stop retrograde and then start to move back into Aries. I believe it's at the beginning of May when it does that. So Aries is a archetypal energy that is what we could call as an active force. And in the sign of Venus, it's for receiving love and the spirit of the peaceful warrior, defender, and activist, showing up for those in need. She's bringing in the Pisces archetypal energy, as well as to alchemize with the energy of Aries. So it's Pisces and Aries sort of streaming in together. And so as Venus goes back and forth over the next few months, this is part of that energy that's coming forth. This makes for an unusual dual nature of Venus expression, where belief in something worth devoting to is paramount. So service, defender, peaceful warrior, activist, also bringing in the heart energy, compassion, empathy, being of service in the world. This is a strong vibe of what Venus in Aries is about. Okay, then we go to Jupiter stationing direct, and that starts on February 4th. So it's also, Jupiter's known as the year star, and it also stations retrograde and direct one time per sign. So it spends typically on average, about a year in each sign. And so each year will also station retrograde once and direct once. And so it will do this at 11 degrees, 16 minutes Gemini when it stations direct. This is the day for Jupiter to kind of launch itself through the rest of the sign of Gemini, which it will, all the way into Gemini. Oh, I'm sorry, beyond Gemini into Cancer in the month of June, on June 9th. And then it goes all the way to like 20, 24, 25 degrees of Cancer before retrograding in uh, the autumn of the Northern Hemisphere. So I believe it's November or October. We can look at that a little bit later. Um, Jupiter in Gemini tends to bring in expansions of this whatever sign is touching. So for Gemini, this is about more of that youthful imagination, contrarianism, trickster energy, poetry, creative writing, knowledge, especially rooted in curiosity and much, much more. So if we can, for us, looking at that, this could be after Jupiter moves direct. It tends to be where things are, the forward momentum of things is moving. And it's like, particularly now that most of the planets will be direct by that point, it's going to be a lot of energy moving forward until we get to March. And then things kind of get a little bit wonky in March and April due to Venus and Mercury retrograde and some of the other transitions in the eclipse season that's happening in March as well. All right, so what else is going on? So we have the North Node conjuncting Neptune. You can see on this chart, here I've got it circled. They're at 2809 Pisces. This is part of the buildup of the lineup of energy that's taking place in Pisces and Aries. So the month of February that we're connecting into is really riddled strongly with this Pisces Aries connection for humanity. And so this North Node Neptune conjunction really emphasizes this in a big way. You can see by that point on the 6th of February, which is when this conjunction takes place, Venus is at 205 Aries. So it's only 4 degrees away at that point. And you can see Saturn also starting to catch up now about 10 degrees away from Neptune and the North Node. And that will continue. When we get to July, they will only be about, Neptune and Saturn be about a quarter degree from each other. So this is really part of the run up, the big sort of beginning of the leap forward for humanity in a lot of unusual ways, particularly in the Saturn Neptune climate that we're currently in here. All right, so you can see this from this chart, the Neptune North Node conjunction, and if you need to pause it during this time to kind of look at things, this is what's going on. I've got a few of these charts to show you as well. Okay, the next one is the Mercury Sun conjunction, which happens 3 days later in Aquarius. So this is one of the last major Aquarius type of things that takes place in the month of February. Obviously, the sun is continuing to move through Aquarius and will move into Pisces, later this month. So this happens at 20 degrees, 59 minutes, the sun and Mercury in Aquarius. So it's near the dwarf planet Ceres. You can kind of see it here with that little question mark type of symbol that Ceres represents, which is a Scythe. Scythe, Scythe, like what they used in more ancient days with the long rod with a metal blade that they would use to cut the harvest of the grains and other agricultural workings. So typically Mercury and the Sun have about 6 to 7 conjunctions per year. And this is the first one. So February 9th represents the first one. There'll be 5 more this year. And Mercury is, at this point, on the other side of the sun. So it's about to transition from the from the evening sky the morning sky into the evening sky. So it's been in the morning sky. It's been briefly visible in the month of January. But now, at this time of this recording, it's been hidden on the other side of the sun, the glare of the sun. So this is the meaning of this conjunction with the planet, particularly with the dwarf planet Ceres. It's about humanity's continual expansion of consciousness through innovation, experimentation, technological and spiritual means. But Ceres is there to help us remember our connection to the Earth. So Aquarius tends to detach or to move away from the Earth, kind of more into the mind and the space. But Ceres is there to help us kind of still reconnect into that Earth at the same time that we're up there in the heavens. All right, so then we get to our full moon of the month in the sign of Leo on February 12th. This happens at 24:06 Leo at 5:53 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you can see it here, 24:06. Here's the sun. It's with Mercury. It's with Ceres. So Ceres plays a big role in this full moon. So this is a moon that has a lot to do with like shining brightly in the world, a lot to do with self-love and connection with others, and really connecting into our vision and utilizing that vision for our future. And how are we creators in and of ourselves, and from that place of self-love to do that. Now it's the moon will be near a bright star called Regulus, which is the heart of the lion, and it's a very powerful star at 0 degrees Virgo. So this really has strong qualities of the goddess, the Mother Earth goddess in particular, and the priestess who kind of sets the stage and helps us bring the order into taking advantage of the harvest, to celebrate the earth, and to bring in her nourishment into our lives, and to ultimately stock up with all the grains for the coming fall and winter time. But you'll notice here too that there's a T-square with Uranus in this. So this could be an unusually creative and unpredictable type of full moon. Uranus is already moving direct. It moved direct on January 30th. And so this is a chance to really move into a kind of a new wavelength as we set our eyes forward and looking at what could be coming. Be prepared for some unusual activities that might be seeded here from this alignment with Uranus in the full moon in Leo. Okay, so Mercury will enter the sign of Pisces on February 14th and will be in Pisces all the way until March 3rd. So this is about the mind's connection with heart, service, empathy, and compassion. It's all about the greater sense of knowing the needs of others through the heart more than the mind. This transit can also lead to one to escape the deep densities and complexities of reality through fantastical or spiritual dreaming. However, it's also important to have some relationship with the higher spiritual realms, and Pisces is a natural at connecting to that higher source. So connecting to source, connecting to the universe, connecting to Great Spirit, helping and engaging with others by being of service out there with other people and for humanity and the earth. This is Mercury and Pisces can help us do that. And again, it's then thinking, it's connection of the mind with the heart here. All right, so then Mars will station direct on February 23rd at 17 degrees Cancer. So Mars has been retrograde. Well, that by that point will be a retrograde for 79 days, which is a typical amount of days for it to be retrograde. And that started retrograde at 6 degrees 10 minutes Leo on December 6, 2024, and goes all the way back to 17 Cancer on February 23rd for a total of 19 degrees across the sky. So not quite a full sign, but it's dancing between the signs of Leo and Cancer. I did a video a little bit, talked about this, the Leo and Cancer energy with the Mars synodic cycle that began January 15th. So there'll be more information about this as we go on through the year. Okay, so anytime Mars goes retrograde, it signals an end to one synodic cycle and the beginning of a new one. Cancer takes center stage for this emergence of Mars, symbolizing the masculine's active force nature during this time. So Mars in Cancer represents a focus upon the nurturing, compassionate, and providing qualities of the masculine. Archetypally, it is akin to a parental figure showing up, taking responsibility for those in the family, and beyond that need nourishment, protection, and love. So Mars shows up in a way that is more about really being there for others and taking care of those others, and showing that heart space, showing that love for others, and really owning up to not only the protection as tends to do, but also in nourishment, emotional and nourishment of the material realm as well, the comforts of home. So this is part of that energy that Mars brings forth here, and part of the overall dynamic of what February is about as well. And lastly, we have a new moon taking place on February 27th, 2025 at 9 degrees, 40 minutes Pisces at 4:44 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you can see right here, there's already a bottleneck of planets all lined up here in Pisces and in Aries. And this is going to become even greater as we get into March and April. So Mercury will move into Aries. Neptune will move into Aries on the 30th. So you can see this lineup pretty strong here. And even Ceres is going to get on the action here throughout March and April as well. So this is the last big thing that takes place. But one last thing to note is that, of course, the sun, I mentioned it before, the sun moves into Pisces, and it does this on February 18th. So just to kind of fill up some of the holes that I left here, with that moving into Pisces, that's part of that whole lineup that we saw here on the 27th, with the sun already in Pisces at 9:40. So on the 18th, it had moved into there, and so it does that every year. But the sun definitely plays a role in how this transition month that we're moving into here in February goes from, not to say that things were static. We're already kind of getting signals for what 2025 can be, beginning January. But March and April are really going to be the months that really help kind of set the tone as we go forward into the year. But February gives us a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a clue as to what is going on with this, with the astrology, and how it can help us understand our upcoming future for humanity. So thank you for being part of this. This is always a pleasure to do these videos, and I do this for a living. I not only make videos, but I especially give a lot of personal one-on-one astrology readings, mentoring. I do teaching classes, events, and astrocartography. You can find me at inspiralnexus.com or also at mystaralchemy.com. And I've co-facilitated classes about the stars with Caitlin Castell. And so you can find more information there. There'll be more videos coming up in the future. And to take a look at my schedule online, because I do a lot of tours around the West Coast of the US. And I'm also going to be going to Ohio in April as well. So you can take a look at that and find out where else I will be. So I look forward to sharing again in the near future, and I wish you all the very, very best. Take care, everyone.